Nobody, absolutely nobody, expected a gender reveal to feel like a full-blown emotional explosion. But what just happened involving Joseline Hernandez has completely shattered every expectation of what a celebration is supposed to look like. Because this wasn't just pink balloons and happy tears. This was chaos. This was tension. This was a moment so charged, so unpredictable, that insiders are already calling it the most dramatic reveal in reality TV history. It started like something out of a fairy tale, after months of whispers, speculation, and a pregnancy journey that had fans hanging on to every single post. Joseline finally stepped forward, ready to reveal the one detail everyone had been waiting for, the baby's gender. But what should have been a joyful moment with her partner, Ballistic, turned into something far more intense, something no one saw coming. Because behind the scenes, things weren't as perfect as they looked. Leaked messages had already begun circulating hours before the reveal, cryptic, emotional, hinting at tension building behind closed doors. Fans didn't know what to believe. Was it nerves? Was it pressure? Or was something much deeper unraveling just as the cameras started rolling? And then came the reveal itself. A single moment. A burst of colour. And just like that, it's a girl. But instead of pure celebration, something shifted. Expressions changed, voices tightened, energy flipped. Because right after that announcement, something happened that no one can fully explain yet. Joseline's reaction, not what anyone expected. And what Ballistic did next has the entire internet spiraling. Clips are already going viral, fans are picking sides, and insiders are whispering one terrifying question. Was this reveal hiding something much bigger? The moment the pink smoke hit the air, the crowd didn't just cheer. It hesitated. That half-second pause, that's what everyone is replaying right now. Because in that exact moment, when the world heard it's a girl, something in the atmosphere shifted so sharply, it felt like the entire celebration cracked beneath its own weight. At the center of it all stood Joseline Hernandez, dressed in a flowing outfit that screamed victory, power, and new beginnings. Cameras were locked in, phones were up, every angle captured, every reaction documented. But what those cameras caught wasn't the reaction anyone expected, because instead of jumping, screaming, celebrating, Joseline froze. Not for long. Turbot! Long enough. Long enough for fans to slow the footage down frame by frame and ask the question that is now echoing across every platform. Why did she hesitate? Next to her, Ballistic clapped once, twice, his smile sharp, controlled, almost rehearsed. He leaned in, attempting to wrap an arm around her, but there was a split-second moment where she didn't lean back. It was subtle, almost invisible. But in the world of viral breakdowns, subtle is everything. Within minutes, clips of that exact moment flooded TikTok and Twitter. Side-by-side comparisons, zoom-ins, slow-motion edits with captions like, "Something's off," and "Watch her face." And just like that, a celebration turned into an investigation. Because while the public was still processing that energy shift, the leaks started. Not after the party. Not hours later. During. A screenshot surfaced, time-stamped just 27 minutes before the reveal. A message allegedly sent from a contact saved as B, widely believed to be Ballistic. "You promised this would stay private." That line spread like wildfire. Private? What exactly was supposed to stay private? The pregnancy? The gender? Or something else entirely? The internet didn't wait for answers. It created them. Theories erupted instantly. Some claimed there had been disagreements about revealing the gender publicly. Others insisted the tension had nothing to do with the baby at all, but something deeper, something buried beneath months of carefully curated posts and smiling appearances. And then came the second leak. A voice note, short, just 8 seconds, but devastating. "You don't control how this plays out." The voice, unconfirmed, but eerily similar to Joseline, sent shockwaves through the fan base. Because now the narrative shifted again. This wasn't just awkward energy. This was conflict. And it had been brewing before the cameras even started rolling. Back at the event, the footage continues. Joseline finally reacts, raising her hands, smiling, turning toward the crowd, but the delay had already done its damage. Every movement after that felt analysed, dissected, questioned. Even her laugh. Fans began comparing it to older clips. Her laugh used to sound different. She looks tense. That's not genuine. Meanwhile, Ballistic stepped forward, taking control of the moment. He addressed the crowd, his voice steady, confident, almost overpowering the situation. "We got a baby girl," he shouted. The crowd erupted again, but this time it felt forced. Or like they were trying to match an energy that wasn't fully there. And that's when things escalated, because someone in the background, barely visible, barely audible, said something that changed everything. "You weren't supposed to say that here." The clip is messy, the audio unclear. But that sentence? Clear enough. And now the internet has latched onto it like a lifeline. Who said it? What weren't they supposed to say? And why did it sound like a warning? Within minutes, fan accounts began isolating the audio, enhancing it, trying to match voices to faces in the crowd. Some claimed it came from a production member. Others insisted it was someone close to Joseline. But the most viral theory? That it was directed at Ballistic. And if that's true, then this reveal wasn't just spontaneous. It was contested. Then came the third leak. A backstage clip. Not polished. Not meant for public eyes. Joseline pacing. Ballistic standing still. Tension thick enough to feel through the screen. "You said we talked about this," she says, her voice sharp, controlled, but shaking underneath. Ballistic responds quickly. "And you said you trusted me." That exchange? It didn't just confirm the tension. It exposed it. Because now, the story isn't about a gender reveal. It's about control. About decisions made behind closed doors that spilled into the most public moment possible. The clip ends abruptly, but not before one more line slips through. This wasn't the plan. And just like that, the narrative fractures completely. Because if this wasn't the plan, Ahmad, then what was? A quiet reveal? A private moment? Or no reveal at all? Meanwhile, social media is in full meltdown. Hashtags are trending globally. Reaction videos are pulling in millions of views within hours. Celebrities are weighing in, some subtly, some directly. One influencer posted, "You can't fake energy like that, something's wrong." Another wrote, "That wasn't joy, that was pressure." And then, just when it felt like the chaos couldn't get any louder, Joseline went silent. No posts, no stories, no clarification, just absence. And in a moment like this, silence is louder than anything she could have said. Because while she disappears from the public eye, Ballistic does the opposite. He posts a single image, pink background, caption, "Blessed beyond words," no tags, no mention of her, no acknowledgement of the tension everyone just witnessed. That post? It didn't calm the situation, it ignited it. Because now people are asking, why post alone? Why now? And why does it feel like two completely different narratives are being told at the same time? Insiders are now claiming the reveal was the breaking point, not the beginning of the issue, but the moment everything spilled over. And if that's true, then what happened after the cameras stopped rolling? Because according to whispers, real whispers, the kind that don't hit blogs until they're undeniable, the confrontation didn't end backstage. It escalated. Voices got louder, lines were crossed, and someone recorded everything. But that footage hasn't dropped yet. And insiders are saying when it does, it won't just explain the tension, it will expose what this entire pregnancy journey has really been hiding. The silence didn't last. It never does in stories like this. Because just when the internet thought it had reached peak chaos, the next leak didn't just surface, it detonated across every platform like it had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. A full backstage recording. Not a clip, not a snippet. A continuous uncut sequence that begins exactly where the last footage ended, Right after that tense exchange where the words, "This wasn't the plan," hung in the air like a warning nobody took seriously enough. The video opens with movement. Fast, unsteady, chaotic. You can hear voices overlapping, footsteps echoing, someone whispering, "Cut the cameras," but the recording keeps going. And then, her voice. Joseline Hernandez. Clear, sharp, no performance. "You don't get to make decisions like that without me." That line didn't just confirm tension, it established dominance, because this wasn't confusion. This was confrontation. And right in front of her, a Ballistic Beats doesn't back down. "You're acting like I blindsided you," he fires back, his voice louder now, less controlled. "Because you did," she snaps instantly. No hesitation, no pause. And just like that, the room transforms from backstage space into a battleground. The camera angle shifts slightly, revealing more people than expected. Not just staff, close associates, possibly friends, all frozen in place, watching something they clearly weren't supposed to witness. Because this wasn't just a disagreement. This was something that had been building, something heavy. "You told me we'd handle this differently," Joseline continues, pacing now, her hands moving, her voice rising just enough to show cracks in her control. Ballistic shakes his head, frustration spilling through every movement. "I told you we needed to control the narrative." That word, narrative, hit the internet like a shockwave, because suddenly, everything people thought they were watching shifted. This wasn't just about a baby reveal. This was about image, control, timing, and who gets to decide what the world sees. The clip continues. Joseline stops pacing, turns, locks eyes with him. "And what about me?" she asks, 4 words, heavy, personal, and impossible to ignore. Ballistic doesn't answer immediately. That pause. It stretched long enough for viewers to feel it, to analyze it, to question it. And then, he speaks. "This isn't just about you anymore." The internet erupted, because that line? It didn't just escalate the situation, it exposed it. Clips of that moment went viral within seconds. Captioned with everything from, "He said what?" to, "This is deeper than we thought." But the video wasn't done, not even close, because just as the tension peaks, another voice cuts in, unidentified, low, urgent. "You'll need to stop, this is being recorded." Everything freezes. For a split second, no one moves. And then the realization hits. Not just for them, but for everyone watching. This wasn't private. This wasn't contained. This was already out. And the moment that awareness sets in, the energy shifts again. Completely. Joseline turns toward the camera. Not directly, but enough. Enough to signal she knows. Enough to change how she carries herself. Ballistic notices too. His posture straightens. His tone lowers. But it's too late. Because what's been said can't be unsaid. And what's been captured is already spreading. And the clip ends, but not before one final chilling moment. Joseline whispers something, barely audible. But the internet heard it, enhanced it, replayed it thousands of times. "I knew this would happen." Those 5 words, they didn't just add context, they flipped the narrative. Because now the question isn't what went wrong, it's how long she knew it would. And just when people thought they had enough to process, another layer dropped. Messages, more of them. Different tone this time, less emotional, more strategic. One exchange, allegedly between Ballistic and an unknown contact, stood out immediately. It has to look organic. It will. She won't see it coming. The timestamps? Days before the reveal. Days. That detail alone sent the internet into complete meltdown. Because if that's real, then this wasn't spontaneous. It was planned. Or every moment, every reaction, every reveal. And now, the most dangerous theory of all is spreading faster than anything before it. This entire situation was orchestrated. Not just the reveal, but the fallout, the tension, the leaks, everything. Social media has officially turned into a battlefield. Fans are dividing into sides, some defending Joseline, saying she was manipulated, caught in a moment she couldn't control. Others accusing Ballistic of turning a personal milestone into a calculated spectacle. And then there's a third group, the loudest, most relentless, asking the question nobody can ignore anymore. What if they both knew? Because that theory, it changes everything. And just when it feels like the story can't twist any further, Joseline Hernandez breaks her silence. No warning, no build-up, just a sudden live stream. And her face fills the screen. No glam, no filter, just intensity. "I'm not going to let people play with my name," she says immediately. No greeting, no context, straight into it. The comments explode. Was it staged? What did he plan? Are you okay? She doesn't dodge. She leans in. You all saw what happened, she continues, but you didn't see everything. That sentence, it sent chills through the entire audience, because once again, there's more. There's always more. She pauses, takes a breath, then says something that completely resets the conversation. Some things were said before that camera was even on. The implications? Massive. Because now, the footage we've seen, it's incomplete. And whatever happened before it started recording might be the key to everything. The live stream cuts abruptly. No goodbye. No clarification. Or just silence. Again. And now the internet is holding its breath, because insiders, real ones, are now hinting that there's one final recording. Not backstage, not public, private, the moment before the reveal, the conversation that set everything in motion. And if that recording drops, it won't just explain what happened, it will expose why. The internet didn't crash, but it might as well have, because when that final recording surfaced, it didn't just answer questions, it erased them, and replaced them with something far more unsettling, a new reality. The file appeared without warning, buried inside a private forum before exploding across every platform within minutes. No title, no caption. Just raw audio labelled with a timestamp that made everyone's stomach drop. Before reveal, private. 8 minutes long, uncut, unfiltered. And from the very first second, you could feel it. Heavy breathing, soft footsteps, a door closing, then silence, and then voices, low, controlled, but loaded. "You're sure you want to do this?" the first voice asks. It doesn't take long for listeners to recognize it as Ballistic beats. The response comes quickly, steady, certain. "You think I came this far to back out now?" That voice, Joseline Hernandez. And just like that, everything the internet thought it knew starts to unravel. Because this isn't fear. This isn't hesitation. This is agreement. The audio continues. "You know how this is going to look," Ballistic says. "I know exactly how it's going to look," Joseline replies. No emotion, no uncertainty, just intent. The internet didn't just react, it froze. Because those two lines alone destroyed the idea that one person was blindsided. This wasn't confusion, this was coordination. And then came the part nobody was ready for. "We need it to hit," Joseline continues. "Not just land, hit." That sentence? It didn't sound like someone protecting a private moment. It sounded like someone planning a moment, a spectacle, a reaction. And suddenly, the entire narrative flips. Because now the reveal, the hesitation, the tension, the confrontation, it all starts to look different. Not accidental, not emotional overflow, but something designed to provoke. The audio moves forward, Ballistic exhales. And after? A pause, long enough to feel intentional. Then Joseline answers. "We deal with it after." 4 words, casual, cold, calculated, and instantly the internet fractures. Because if this was planned, then what was real? Was the argument real? Were the emotions real? Or was everything, every reaction, every leak, every moment, part of a controlled explosion designed to dominate attention? The audio ends with something even more unsettling, a faint third voice, barely audible but clear enough to trigger immediate speculation. Just make sure it's rolling. The internet lost its mind because that line suggests something bigger, someone else. A presence behind the scenes making sure everything unfolded exactly as intended. Now the theories aren't just wild, they're surgical. People are mapping timelines, matching voice tones, identifying background noises. Every second of footage is being cross-referenced with this audio like it's evidence in a case that no one can walk away from. Because now, the biggest question isn't what happened, it's who orchestrated it. Meanwhile, Joseline Hernandez returns online. Not live, not emotional, but controlled. She posts a video, short, direct, no music, no distractions. "I see everything y'all are saying," she begins. Her tone? Completely different from before. Calm, grounded, almost detached. "And I'm going to say this one time," the internet leans in, "because this feels final. This is my life, not a script." That line divides the audience instantly. Some believe her, others don't, because the audio contradicts it. Or does it? Because here's where it gets even more complicated. In the comments, buried under thousands of reactions, a verified account posts something that shifts everything again. Context matters. 2 words, and suddenly, a new theory emerges. What if that audio wasn't about staging drama, but controlling damage? What if the tension was real, but they chose to manage how it unfolded publicly? What if both things are true at once? That idea spreads fast, too fast, because it gives room for both sides to exist, that Joseline wasn't manipulated, but she wasn't entirely in control either. That Ballistic wasn't the villain, but he wasn't innocent either. And that the reveal was both real and strategic at the same time. Meanwhile, insiders are now saying something even more unsettling. The third voice hasn't been identified yet, and whoever it belongs to hasn't spoken publicly, which means one thing: they're still watching, still waiting, and possibly still holding something back. Because according to multiple sources, there's one final piece that hasn't been released. Not audio. Not video, but messages. Detailed, time-stamped, and allegedly revealing who suggested turning this private moment into a public explosion in the first place. And if those messages drop, this entire story changes again. Not just who did what, but who started it. So now, the internet sits in a strange place. Not shocked anymore, not confused, but locked in, watching, waiting. Because in a story where every answer creates a new question, the truth isn't something you discover once. It's something that keeps evolving. And if the next piece surfaces, everything you think you understand right now might not survive it. If you're still here right now, then you already feel it. That tension, that uncertainty, that sense that this story is far from over. Because this wasn't just a gender reveal. This was a moment that split the internet in real time. And you're watching it evolve second by second. So don't just sit back and scroll like this is ordinary content, because it's not. This is one of those stories that people will come back to and say, "I was there when it all unfolded." Hit that like button right now, because every single interaction pushes this story further into the spotlight. And trust me, there are details still hiding in the shadows that haven't surfaced yet. Drop your comment immediately. Do you believe Joseline Hernandez was in control the whole time? Or did things spiral beyond what she expected? Was Ballistic Beats orchestrating the narrative or reacting to something bigger behind the scenes? And who do you think that third voice belongs to? This is not the moment to stay quiet. The internet is deciding the story as we speak, and your voice is part of that wave. And most importantly, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. Because if that final piece drops, and insiders are saying it will, you do not want to be the last person trying to catch up while everyone else already knows the truth. Stay locked in, stay ready, because this story isn't ending. it's escalating.